Oh, should I be lighting up my icon right now?
Yeah. We're on push to talk, so we. welcome, everybody, to season 5, week 2 of the Eternal Tournament series. I am Mark, aka Chibikawaii, and I'm with my co-caster.
Gabe, also known as Calimdir.
And we wanted to welcome all 32 competitors today. It's going to be 6 rounds of Swiss, followed by a top 8. And the 2 lucky and skillful players are going to be getting to move on to our Season 5 Invitational, which will have a fantastic prize pool.
Yeah, the top two players of this weekly will be receiving invites to the Eternal Tournament Series Invitational, and then other players will still receive points, which go towards invites towards that same tournament at the end of the month.
Yeah, and so we have our first matchup. It's going to be TygerHC versus TonyGeeeee, and we have TygerHC on Calimdir Dawnwalker, and then we have TonyGeeeee on Felon Control. Gabe, do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown of the matchup?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, these two players are both well-known ladder players. TonyGeeeee is mostly known for Armory, and TygerHC known for reviving Xenon killers. So it's interesting to see them playing different decks for this last set 1 weekly.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you bring up. This week is going to be the last week that it will be only set 1. Starting next week, we will actually be including set 2. So expect some spicy decks to be surfacing around next Saturday.
Yeah, but for this week, it's set 1's last hurrah. So TonyGeeeee has brought Felon Control, which a kind of interesting build. He's not running cards like Channel of Tempest or Omen in the main deck. And TygerHC is running a version of Calimdir mid-range that is similar to Elysian mid-range, like Dawnwalker focused, big unit focused, not really running Mystic Ascendant, Harsh Rule, none of that. It's more about beating the opponent's face in. It's got even a 1-drop in District Infantry and a couple copies of Finest Hour to push in for push through combat, push through blockers.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Champion of Cunning build over the more, I guess I would hate to say traditional, but I guess the more stock Felon Control list with the Celestial Omens in the main board, along with like these Endless Gifts and everything?
So I think that traditional Felon Control still runs Champion of Cunning. I think the big difference here is that TonyGeeeee is electing to run 3 copies of Vera, which is interesting because. So if you know me, I have been a player who's brought Felnscar with multiple Veras to many events with varying success, mostly bad success. But the reason I did this is because Vera is a very versatile finisher compared to cards like Azindel's Gift. And so I think that's what TonyGeeeee is going for. He doesn't want to have like silver bullet cards. He just wants his cards to be good in every matchup. And so that's what he's going for. He cut cards like Channel of Tempest that can be really slow in certain matchups. And he's just playing the best units that he can in Felon and then taking advantage of that.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's just a little less conditional, and then you also get back anything that any of the units that might have been killed earlier in the game. Now, looking at Tiger's list, do you since the Mystic Ascendants are not there, do you think that's going to be he's not going to be able to draw into enough of stuff? He's going to run out of gas too early?
So this matchup, I'm not actually sure. I know it's a little contentious here, but Felon Control I consider to be a favorite. Okay, so the players have actually gone into the match here. Let's talk about opening hands for a second.
For sure.
So Tiger's opening hand is actually very strong. He's got an Awakened Student on turn 2, but he really needs to draw power, right? It's very risky. On the other hand, TonyGeeeee's opening hand, I don't know if the stream can see that. TonyGeeeee's opening hand consists of, okay, they have it. Okay, so yeah, he's got a pretty good control hand. He also is struggling on power, so this is going to be, I mean, he does have Island's Favor to potentially be able to cast a Wisdom of the Elders if he draws it, but both play, oh wow, and the top deck sigil there.
Yeah, that top deck time is going to be pretty big for Tiger. Being able to, now he can actually cast his Dawnwalker. Do you think he's going to run out Dawnwalker or Seraph?
That's okay. Well, I guess he went for Seraph because it attacks through things a little bit better, and he can't guaranteed get Dawnwalker back next turn, and potentially something like a Steward could come down. I think maybe it was just because he had 2 Seraphs.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh, and the friendly wisp off the top is going to be pretty nice. Do you run that out since you have finest hour protection and then hope to draw power? Looks like you didn't, but
Yeah, I think you run the Dawnwalker out just for mana efficiency to potentially be able to play Friendly Wisp and another card in a later turn.
yeah, and
Also, Dawnwalker is much more threatening right now.
Yeah, most certainly. However, we're going to see the permafrost, I would imagine, come out from TonyGeeeee on onto that Dawnwalker. Or actually, I guess Seraph is fine too.
Seraph.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only a 1 damage difference, and he doesn't. I guess he decides he doesn't have a way to deal with the Seraph, which makes sense because TonyGeeeee has a Steward in his hand, which lines up very well with Dawnwalker. So actually, looking at hands, TonyGeeeee feels very favored here because he's got the spot removal, which does not really. It's very difficult for Tiger's deck to deal with outside of Protect and things like that. Dawnwalker is his only way of getting around that, and TonyGeeeee has the answer for Dawnwalker. So this looks like TonyGeeeee is going to be trying to trade 1-for-1, survive, and then take over the game. But he hasn't found the second shadow, which is what's killing him here.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Dead.
Yeah, that's what's and then also the fact that Tiger has drawn the Valkyrie Enforcer, that's going to be able to shut down the Steward of the Past. I guess we're missing the second Justice for that too. So both players struggling here.
Yeah, so he finds the second shadow, but it's a little late here. He's already at 11. If Tiger draws his 4th power, it's going to be very difficult for. Oh, and he's going to vanquish this Steward. Wow. Okay.
Oh, I like this play. I do like this play because it's going to allow his Dawnwalker to kind of still get in unimpeded.
Yeah, it's a really good play because Tiger is in a tough spot where he cannot afford to let the game go long. And he just almost has lethal. Like, he's just about to kill Tony, right? So why not push this?
Yeah, does Tony have an out here? Like, I can't imagine.
I don't think there's a card in the deck.
Like
I can check right
now. He would have to have Strain of the Night, and I don't believe that is.
I don't think running Stray into Shadow.
Yeah, Stray into Shadow. Excuse me.
Yeah, both players struggled a little bit there on power, but Tiger, being the more aggressive deck, was just able to get the 3 and play out his handful of 3 drops and just push in for damage. There was no Bloodcaster to be seen, only 1 Permafrost, and it just was not enough to answer double Seraph Dawnwalker Awakened Student from Tiger's end.
Didn't it end up being 3 Seraphs?
Probably. After a certain point, you just see so many Seraphs, they all look the same. It's hard to count.
That's fair. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to see Tiger's sideboard. However, we are able to see Tony's sideboard. So I'm looking. It looks like he is taking out the Rain of Frogs, getting rid of his sabotages, maybe considering getting rid of that Alien's Favor.
Yeah. So let's talk about the sideboards because I do believe we can get the sideboards up on the screen. I'm not sure about that, like the deck lists. So we can talk about those a little bit. From Tiger sideboard, he wants to bring in probably Protect. That's the biggest thing, and potentially Stand Together because of how removal focused Felon Control is.
Yeah, and we've got 3. Yeah, because we've got 3 Wisps and 4 Black Sky Harbingers on Tony's side. Do you think the Lightning Storm is going to come in from Tony's side?
So I don't know that Storm is very. I think Storm is pretty bad in this matchup for a few reasons. One, Storm is not a card without Witch, right? What are you killing besides Dawnwalker and Friendly Wisp? 2, you just don't want to like overrun your hand with Storms, and Stand Together is going to be a card, right? There's going to be Protects and Stand Together's coming in, and Storm is just going to you're going to try and set up Witch combo, and it's just not going to happen. I think the players are into their game 2 now.
They are. How do you feel about that opener from Tiger? There's 2 Combray banners. I didn't get to see if the mulliganed or not, but I have to imagine that was a mulligan.
I'm still opening up Tiger screen right now.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. So the players are just kind of going back and forth. There's been 2 banners played from Tiger's side, and unfortunately, he does not have a 3rd power. Tony has basically followed suit.
Yeah.
And now I think we're just going to see a lot of passing back and forth. However, this Felon Bloodcaster is pretty big on Tony's side. That chumps a lot of what's going on. Now, if Tiger can get up to 4 power, then he can play the Sandstorm Titan and push through it. But until then, he's kind of stuck. He will be able to play Seraph next turn, though.
Yeah, this game is going to be a lot tougher for Tiger. He does draw the 4th power for Sandstorm Titan here, which is great for him. But now he's starting the game on turn 4, really, right? Whereas before he started the game on turn 2 and then played a 3-drop. Tony was able to play a Bloodcaster on 3 and then continue drawing cards and set up for, keep playing power over turn. So Tony's right where he wants to be. He's playing on curve, he's making his power drops, and he's playing his blockers, whereas Tiger's playing from very far behind as the aggro deck.
Yeah, and the fact that we see the Steward of the Past actually come out, and we know that there's Annihilate in Tony's hand and another Steward of the Past. It's gonna be tough. The 2 finest hours are great because he's gonna be able to trade off with this Steward, but past that, I think things are gonna be a little tough.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2-for-1ing himself just to try and push damage, and Tony's got a Black Sky Harbinger in there. He's got an Annihilate in there.
And there's a Vara's Favor, so Tony's not missing his power drops. He's going to be able to play out the Champion of Cunning if he wants. It seems he doesn't have the influence to set off either of the conditionals, so I don't know if it's really what you want to be doing, but it would be a 5/5 in place. And we are going to see that Annihilate come down on that Sandstorm Titan, but a Protect comes out from Tiger's side, which is great that he drew that power.
Yeah,
however,
being able to play Sandstorm Titan with Protect up is a big difference here.
Oh, well, and Tony actually did bring in that Lightning Storm, it looks like. Oh, okay, or he just didn't take enough of them out. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you keep in 3. I think 3 is a very good number in Phone Control, but you don't go up to the 4th one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now that Tony's played this Steward, do you think we're going to see an attack with the Sandstorm Titan just to try to clear the way for the second Sandstorm Titan?
At this point, I wouldn't be too surprised. So Tiger's actually not running, like compared to most combo lists, he's not running 8 silences. He has a lot of trouble dealing with Steward of the Past.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things that I noted when looking through is he's only got 2 Desert Marshal and 2 Valkyrie Enforcer, and he's got 1 more Desert Marshal on the board, but that's about it.
Yeah, so Felon Control versus Combray, I think Felon Control's personally a little bit favored in that matchup, even though, Mystic Ascent is a lot of card advantage. And then Felon Control is also very widely agreed to be favored versus Dawnwalker matchup, just because it's got so many ways to Permafrost, Vera's Favor, Steward of the Past, and this is both of those things.
Yeah, how do you feel about that play by Tiger there? I kind of would have liked to see an attack first to maybe be able to save that Predator's Instinct, because I feel like odds are decent that he ends up maybe he doesn't, but then you still get to make the same play.
Yeah, you get to make the exact same play, and you don't necessarily have to 2-for-1 yourself. So I definitely agree with you on that front. But maybe he just didn't want to chance it, like he knew that Tony wasn't going to block or something. You never know quite what Tiger's decision making is there.
Yeah, and we see the Valkyrie Enforcer come down on the Bloodcaster side and silencing the Bloodcaster, which seems decent. However, because especially Tony's ability to play the 7th power there. Now with this Champion of Cunning on the board, though, that the life steal is going to be pretty big.
Yeah, the door is very quickly closing on this game for Tiger HC. Champion of Cunning ends games very quickly. If he attacks him with Sandstorm Titan, he can double block with Harbinger and Bloodcaster, and then he can open up flyers. I think he has another Harbinger in hand, correct? Yeah. I mean, I guess he lets through the Valk Enforcer, but that's not really a concern when you're about to have a 5/5 lifesteal in the air.
Yeah, and we see Tiger has another Valkyrie Enforcer in hand, but you got to I actually would have liked to see Finest Hour pop the Aegis on Champion of Cunning and then silence the Champion of Cunning, because as the board sits now, it's not great for you, but you can at least manage it. Now, I don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's definitely a line, but I think Tiger's just trying to play to his outs. He's trying to hope that Tony just doesn't have the answers and maybe try and race, which is, I don't know how realistic that plan is versus an activated Champion of Cunning, but you got to try and play to your outs. He's trying to play to win, not play to lose.
That makes 100%. And looking at it that lens, the line definitely makes a lot more sense, especially since with that second finest hour. So if Tony doesn't have the Black Sky Harbinger there, the second one, then you could realistically squeeze in some stuff, and or maybe they chump a little bit awkwardly, maybe they chump or they block with the Champion of Cunning. Then you could finest hour twice on the Valkyrie Enforcer. A lot of different things that you can do there. So I definitely understand that line.
Yeah. So this is a really tough spot for Tiger. Let me take a look, quick glance through his deck list, see if there's any situation that gets him out of this. But I think with Tony's hand, it's going to be very difficult outside of some unfortunate plays or some very tight play from Tiger to get him out of this.
Yeah, and we definitely see Tony not willing to even block with that Champion of Cunning. Doesn't want to risk it at all. Knows that there's finest hours floating around. No reason to be risky. Now, what about just triple power chump blocks and getting the Knight of Seraph into or the Knight Chancellor Seraph into play?
I think that's a fair play. I'm just trying to evaluate the board state here.
Yeah, so, the Death Strike kind of throws a wrench in that plan.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clearly over for a Tony or for Tiger. Tony and Tiger are both very good players here. So
yes,
once Tony took over the game, it was very unlikely that anything too crazy happened. Because Tony's just not going to let go of that game there. Not any fault of Tiger's. It was just a very difficult draw to play with there.
Not at all. And again, and the Tiger's starting hand was unfortunate a little bit. It kind of stumbled a little bit on power, but congrats to Tony. Tony pulling it out there. Tony did have to work his way through a bunch of Sandstorm Titans as well. So not a small feat by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, definitely not a small feat. That game went on for quite a bit longer than it could have been. A lesser player could have conceded long ago.
Yep, and it looks like doesn't look like they're actually going to be sideboarding. It looks like they're actually jumping straight into their match. So we should have that for you guys in just a quick second.
Yeah, I suppose they feel pretty confident in their sideboard choices from last game.
I would imagine, like you said, these are both two very talented players. I have to imagine that they've played these matchups before, so because neither one of these decks particularly uncommon. The Combray Dawnwalker a little bit less common than the Felon Control, but definitely something you see running out and about.
Yeah, Combray Dawnwalker midrange is not as common, but it's you play against killers, you play against Elysian midrange, you kind of understand the matchup. You played against Combray. It's taking a lot of elements from a lot of familiar decks, adding silences and adding a lot of Combray staples to it. So players like Tiger and Tony, who've played hundreds and hundreds of ladder games, definitely know how to deal with decks like this.
Yeah, it's very similar, like when you take Big Combray and Clockroaches and you put those two decks together, and then
it's basically exactly the same.
Yeah, that's
basically what Tiger has done is he's taken a deck and he's added Crown of Frost abilities to it.
Yeah. That's typically how I like to see things done. So it looks like there is a little bit of conversation being done between Tiger and Tony. So I think, yeah, here we go. All right, we should be seeing the match coming up now.
I am never going to unhear Tony the Tiger now when I think of this matchup.
That seems reasonable, right? Like this is actually going to be the starting matchup for all future ETSs. So we're going to see a pretty decent hand from Tiger. It's a little bit reactive, but if he draws into the right threats, I think it'll be great. Tony, on the other hand, 2 power, Vara's favor, Eileen's favor. Tony doesn't look like he's going to be slowing anytime soon.
Yeah, so I actually really don't like Tiger's hand. I think that his hand is way too reactive, and then Vanquish is really narrow versus Felon Control. Vanquish is a card that frequently gets sided out versus Felon Control. It's just that Champion of Cunning is so threatening that you usually need an answer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna rebut a little bit with, just a little bit, was that the Champion of Cunning being able to, you have to double Vanquish, but double Vanquish is better than nothing.
But yeah, I think Tony has shown that in the late game he will close it out. So, okay, this Sandstorm Titan is a very good draw.
It's
from
huge.
Tiger, though.
Absolutely huge. However, Tony does have 2 lightning strikes in hand. Do you think we'll see both lightning strikes go onto the Sandstorm Titan?
Down. That's a good question. Another question is whether Tiger is going to elect to play the Friendly Wisp before the Sandstorm Titan, or just try and get the pressure out. I think he might be suspecting an Annihilate or something like that because of how many cards TonyGeeee has drawn. So I think he might play around that and play the Friendly Wisp first.
Yeah, well, and the fact that we didn't see the Sandstorm Titan come down on turn 4, I imagine he's saving both. So what we're going to see is the Friendly Wisp come down first, and then the Sandstorm Titan. So that way he guarantees the draw.
Yeah, he has 6 power. He has 6 power this turn, so he can just play both.
All right. Yep. So there we go. We're going to see 2 draws, and now he's got 6 power in play. That's it's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah. No. Tiger is gonna be trying to make a comeback here. I feel, in the losing position because of how late he started his aggression, but he can definitely make a comeback if he draws into the right combination of protection spells and units to just play around, because he's gonna be playing at fast speed with those spells, and so he can if he draws into those spells, he might be able to outplay TonyGeeee's removal and just win that tempo card advantage war and push in enough damage to finish off Tony.
Yeah, we're really gonna we really needed to see a stand together, because I have to imagine Wisp is gonna, or excuse me, Witch is gonna be coming down from Tony. Yeah, so we are gonna see Witch and Lightning Storm. So that's unfortunately gonna clear up the board, but puts Tony in a very, very favorable position now.
Yeah, so something to think about: if Tiger hadn't played into Witch Storm, Tony's only real answers were Vera's Favors and Lightning Storms, which match up super unfavorably versus Carnosaur and Sandstorm Titan.
That's true, but I feel like you have to. You're probably going to play at least a little bit in. Like, I have to imagine either the Awakened Student or the Reality Warden is going to come down that turn, kind of regardless, right?
Yeah, I agree. You can't play around. You have to play to your outs, and your outs are him not having Witch Storm, right?
Yeah, and that's which is unlikely given the amount of cards and the amount of cards drawn and the amount of cards that Tony had in hand. But yeah, gotta keep that dream alive.
Definitely. I think Tony is actually in some slight danger if he floods out here, just because Carnosaur is going to be able to take out whatever Tony plays and keep attacking, and Lightning Strike is, I guess double Lightning Strike, but that's Carnosaur's advantage. So if Tiger draws out of his mind, he can definitely still win this game.
Realistically, Tiger just needs one more threat, right? Because and actually, if he goes for killer here,
this is great right here. Friendly Wisp into Carnosaur. That's 3 cards card advantage right there.
Draw 2, but if we see Carnosaur killer here now, all right, exactly. Tony's got the opportunity to Lightning Strike, and they're just going to trade. So it's still a 2 for 2, or it's still a 2 for 1, but yeah, Tony's left at least with another Lightning Strike in hand. Granted, 1 Lightning Strike not going to do a ton.
Yeah, not going to do a ton here. Fun Bloodcaster was actually a good draw a turn or so ago. Just card advantage and a blocker is what you want at this point in the game.
Yeah, so do you run out the Empower units here and the Sandstorm Titan and just go YOLO?
Yeah, I don't think you can play around very much here. I think he's worried about Storm. I think he wants to draw power so that Awakened Student doesn't fight a Storm. Oh my goodness,
wow.
Yeah, he stole the Reality Warden with Bloodcaster.
That's pretty fun. And then there's another Champion of Cunning coming down. This is not impossible still, but not favorable for Tiger. Tony looks like he's going to be snatching the meat from the jaws of victory again. That's how that saying goes, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. It looks like things are looking up, Tony. That's for sure.
As long as we have our sayings right. Oh yeah, but the Steward of Past coming down. I think this seals it up for Tony, right?
Yeah, outside of some horrible misplay or something like that from Tony's end, I think the game is sealed up. But they're gonna play it out. Stand Together is actually probably the best card in the matchup from Tiger's side. So
yeah, I would agree.
He's got that going for him.
Ooh, do you fire the Stand Together off? Yeah, to get rid on the permafrost. Okay.
You really have no choice at this point.
Oh, second permafrost though coming down. All right. There's this. Yeah. So then we're gonna see just an attack in with the Steward of the Past. I guess that's like it's a free attack, right? Because he really doesn't want to get rid of the Sandstorm Titan, because the Sandstorm Titan's what keeping the Champion of Cunning kind of at bay.
Yeah.
You could chump there, but chumping doesn't seem like that's a winning strategy. So Tiger's lack of block definitely makes sense, and the fact that Tiger was at 20, you got to use your life total as a resource whenever you can.
So I'm curious why, if he didn't want to block with the Bloodcaster, he didn't attack with the Bloodcaster, right? Because because it wasn't gonna. It had 6 power. It wouldn't trade with Sandstorm Power.
Yeah, it just would have gotten
Okay.
eaten.
Okay.
And the finest hour was just drawn, so even at so this. Ooh, now this is an interesting attack. Do we see finest hour come down on district infantry and a Sandstorm Titan eat the champion of cunning?
I think that's fair. It seems like the right play in this situation. TonyGeeeee does have Vera in his hand, so like the champion of cunning is coming back next turn. But it's a valiant effort to be sure. And then he's just dead there.
Okay, was that a miscount? Do you think on Tiger's part? Either way, congratulations to Tony.
yeah. I think it didn't matter too much. I think Tiger knew the end was near. The end was approaching very quickly.
Just going out of his style with that 0 health.
Yeah, it was a calculated maneuver. He wanted to see that sweet 0, that sweet donut right on the center of his avatar there, or on the bottom of his avatar.
And it looks like we're actually going to have a backup. It's going to be Ilya K on Shimmer Pack versus Bradykin on Voto Combo. So I'm excited about that. Is there I'm trying to think back to the game we just watched though. Were there any crazy plays that are worth mentioning?
There weren't too many crazy plays. I mean, I feel like the biggest game swinging plays were the Witch Storm and just electing to throw out the 3 drops when he did in the first game when Tiger elected to throw out just Seraph in the order that he did and stuff like that. And then in the last game with the Witch Storm, those I think were the biggest things.
Yeah, I think there were only like 1 or 2 lines that I would have taken differently, but we also have the advantage of being omnipotent beings.
Yeah, we get to
see
both hands. Yeah.
I think both players did an absolutely excellent job there, kind of navigating everything. What are you excited about? What are you excited about this the Shimmer Pack and the Voto Combo matchup? I'm excited to see these 2 decks go at it because neither deck really gives a crap about what the other person is doing.
Yeah, so these are both 2 decks that are trying to do kind of the same thing, which is build up a board, hope they don't die, and then explode the board. Like one deck is playing Crystallize and the other deck is playing Martial Ironthorn. One of those is a little more extravagant and a little more actually explosive, but it's still kind of the same thing, right? You just build up your big dudes and then you move there, either exhaust all their units or you destroy all their units or whatever, and then you swing in for lethal. It's very similar. Voto Combo is just much bigger. It has some more utility as well, but it is slower and it can't just kill you with Obelisk, just with Temple Scribe, which Shimmer Pack sometimes does.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, is that Shimmer Pack at least has the benefit of being a little bit more aggressive out of the gate. Ooh, all right. And so let me pull up these deck lists really quick.
Yeah, so I'm taking a look at the deck lists.
Okay, yeah, all right, awesome. So we're going to be looking at everything from Ilya K's perspective, and we do see the Steward of Prophecy coming in. How do you like that against Voto Combo?
Yeah, so I'm not sure what game they're in here. I guess they're in sideboard, probably game 3. So I'm getting where they're in game 3 here. I'm not sure who's up. I'm sure that's probably displayed on the stream. Okay, so players are tied 1-1, and this is game. Oh yeah, obviously that's how game 3 works. I am a caster, and I know these things.
Quality. That's what we like to exude here at the aReNGee tournament series. All right, so this is okay. So we are going to see the privilege of rank come down. We're going to see 2 privilege of rank's an interesting include on Voto Combo. How do you feel about that?
So this is actually very similar to Bradykin's list that he ran at the Invitational, the Season 4 Invitational. He's a known Voto Combo player. I'm actually on the same team as him, and I have heard him talk about this. He thinks Privilege Rank is just much better than Find the Way. They both draw you 2 power. One is only, costs 3 mana or 3 power. You only have to cast it once. There's not depleted. Like, it's just the upsides. For a deck that really only cares about drawing the power, Privilege of Rank is much better, right? If you're going to have the time anyway, if you don't need the fixing, Privilege of Rank is just the better draw spell, right?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And we do see ElliaK end up playing a scouting party, getting all those Yetis in play. And then we see an attack from Bradykin. I have to imagine this signals a harsh roll, right?
Yeah.
All right, because I was about to say leaving your board empty and letting all 4 Yetis get in, and then ElliaK drawing 4 cards. It could potentially backfire.
Yeah, that's definitely. You usually don't want your opponent to draw 4 cards, right? That's generally bad, right? Card advantage is pretty good. 4 for 1, usually bad for you.
That's an elegant way of putting that. So we are going to see the Mystic Ascendant come down and actually get some value on both turns that it's been in play. Now it's at 8/8. It's going to swing in. ElliaK, I think, only has the option of letting it through. Yeah, because you really want to try to get to 8 power in ElliaK's seat. It's a Shimmer Pack that bad boy away. But by that time, that's still at least 3 turns away. We'll see how that goes. Oh, no. All right, Great Parliament coming down on Bradykin's side. ElliaK having the backlash, but unfortunately not having
the mana, yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally got everything organized on my one monitor, and I can see everybody's hands all at once. So I'm finally here, not jumbling over everything. So ElliaK's hand is very interesting because he's got double Shimmer Pack and Crystallize. He's got 3 game-ending cards. He just needs to, have the cards that make the game able to end it all. He needs to have the units. He needs Temple Scribes and things like that. He just needs to draw power and get there. But Voda combo is going off, right? Like, you don't need Vodacon. You can just Mystic Ascendant and Martial Ironthorn is a time-proven combo. It's very good.
It is definitely going off, but if we take a look at Bradykin's hand, not a lot going on there. Not a lot going on in Bradykin's hand. And I imagine, the Crystallize is going to come down. It's going to pause the board. We're going to see 4 stun the board, minus the Sandstorm Titan thanks to that endurance. But then we're still going to see a draw 3 on Iliak's side.
You say not a lot going on. I say Mystic Ascendant number 2 plus Martial Ironthorn, draw 3 cards off 1 power. I feel that's an amount, right? That's a measurable amount of things going on.
That's very fair. So it's gonna end up equating to 4 cards drawn next turn, and then also the harsh rule is another option too.
Yeah, 4 cards. Jeez.
Okay, so now, fortunately, I lost ElliaK. Oh, we're back. We're back. All right, so but he can't actually attack, and the other Crystallize is going to lock down the board again.
Yeah, he also Backlash is very good in this position. It does not do anything about Martial Ironthorn Ultimate, which we are very close to. But potentially Bradykin does something silly with Harsh Rule, and I mean, it's hard to see a way out of this for ElliaK. I think he just stumbled on power for too long.
I'm an optimist. What can I say? I want to be optimistic about this. But I'm kind of especially with that Obelisk being drawn. Unfortunately, I think the window is closing on ElliaK. However, Bradykin, it's got some mojo going.
Yeah, that's definitely, mojo is a good word for that. So I'm looking through ElliaK's list right now. I'm trying to think. I think he probably brought in Rain of Frogs. I feel like that's a very powerful card against Voda combo, just because taking away a combo piece can just shut their game plan down completely. I'm trying to see what he could actually draw now, though. That would be good. And the concede button is a good play. That's always a solid play.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he could potentially draw the 3rd Crystallize if he brought it in from the board, but that seems a little less likely. So I believe, let me just double check here. I think that's going to be our last match.
Yeah, that's our last match, but let's talk about it for a minute there. So Shimmer Pack versus Voda combo, who do you feel was favored in that matchup?
Like just looking at deck lists?
Yeah, just looking from deck lists.
I have to give that to, I think I have to give it to Shimmer Pack, just because Shimmer Packs can get that early aggression going, whereas Bradykin is basically just Voto combo is just going to be stalling a whole lot. So like if you go Temple Scribe, Amber Acolyte, False Prince into Obelisk, it's that's going to be pretty potent and relatively difficult for Voto combo to kind of break.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think it's a wrong assessment, but I think it's a fair assessment.
Throwing daggers.
So if you look at ETS's list, he actually has a very anti-aggro game 1 setup. He's running 3 copies of Scaly Gruin, which is really interesting. Electing to play that over something like maybe Stormlinks or something.
For sure.
He doesn't have any dinosaur synergy, but that's fine. A 1-4 for 2 is actually a very good stat line.
It
Scaly
is.
Gruin's like fairly underplayed.
Imagine that against Rakano, right? Oni Ronin, no longer an issue. Yes, the Warcry triggers, but not as big of an issue, I should say.
Yeah. It doesn't die to Vanquish or Torch. It's unbeatable, absolutely unbeatable for Rakano, clearly. So game 1, I think Voto combo is slightly favored there, just because. I think Bradykin's Voto combo list is very good. He got top 8 with it at the Invitational, right? I
also feel like there might be a little bias. No bias at all.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I do not associate with these SPG people. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I think Voto combo, just having played both decks, I've never been as impressed with Shimmer Pack. I am noticing now Praxis Displacer, which is very good against Voto combo. There is obviously a very good draw available to ETS in Initiative Sand, into Amber Acolyte, into turn 3 Obelisk, into a million Displacers and False Princes and things like that to just push in so much damage. But I think Voto combo is the more consistent combo deck, and it just has been that way for a while. There's a reason Shimmer Pack's just not played on ladder very much. It's just it dies to too many things, and it doesn't get aggressive as much as it wants to, as consistently as it wants to.
Let me flip it a little bit. What if this was Elysian mid-range? How do you feel?
So Elysian midrange is another deck that I take issue with because it has similar issues of consistency, and it is soft to a lot of different decks. It doesn't have like a variety of answers. It kind of just plays its big dumb units on the board. But I think that is a very effective strategy against Voto combo, because Voto combo is trying to like just stabilize on the board and play blockers or whatever, so that it can it can't afford to be playing like main deck harsh rule and things like that. It doesn't have the luxury that other like Combray decks have to be able to actually answer things like that. So if you just start playing units that it can't block with Combray Healer, it has a really tough time. It has a very tough time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking when I was looking at the False Princes, the Sandstorm Titans, the Xenon Obelisks, right? Is just getting up there. I guess that's a fewer units than I was actually giving credit for, but yeah, all right. I'll cede to your point. And now that we all know that you have opinions on Stone Scar Extractor, let's talk about the best card in the new set.
So set 2 dropped, I believe, yesterday, and there are some very interesting cards in there. We're not using set 2 in this tournament. This is set 1's last hurrah. Next weekend, all set 2 cards will be available. We wanted to give time for everybody to brew up their cards and give everyone one last chance to show that they solved set 1. But let's talk about set 2 for a second, because set 2 is that's what's what's on everybody's mind. There we go.
Gabe, I still feel like you're dodging the question here. We're talking specifically about Stone Scar Extractor.
I may or may not have been putting it into the search function.
So Stone Scar Extractor, for anybody that doesn't know, is a 3-cost, 1 fire influence for for a relic that comes down, and once per turn, you may pay 4 power, discard a power card, and then deal damage equal to the number of power cards in your void to your opponent. Clearly, best card. I think that is where most of the focus of the conversation needs to be. We don't want to talk about any of these other cards like Mako or Wandering Wisp, or any of these
or Kothon, like awful card. Kothon compared to Stone Scar Excavator, not even close.
Not even.
So Stone Scar Excavator, I actually have one copy. I love this card. This is the kind of card that I love seeing. It makes me feel like there's a lot of potential. Makes me feel like there's a lot of potential for decks like this in the future for Eternal, like combo decks and things like that. Like this is a 3 mana, 3 power relic that can potentially one shot your opponent. I don't think the support is there for it yet. Like, what are you gonna do? Play Spore Folk and discard all of your Stone Scar Excavators and be
You saw the
sad?
list. You saw the
But, you
list.
know,
Yeah, I definitely agree. The reason why I actually did want to bring that up and can I talk about that is it's cards like Stone Scar Excavator and then also all of the ring cycle as well. It's very exciting, and I think it's leading to being able to do very, very interesting things with future sets, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So Brady can actually message me himself to tell me that he thinks Shimmer Pack is favored in that matchup, which I think is very interesting. His reasoning being that Crystallize is like absolutely game ending, and Shimmer Pack is essentially a silence, and silencing all of Vodacon's combo pieces on the board is kind of impossible to come back from.
Yeah, I was actually reading Bradykin's chat as well in the stream chat, and I would agree. It just also means that I need to get a bigger backbone and stick to my convictions, no matter how right they or wrong they are. What's something? Actually, I'm not going to say anything ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about the new set. I like, on a more serious note, I actually think Strangers could be a real deck. And I know that I've had a lot of success with like the five color mono time deck. But yeah, I mean, have you had any? And obviously, you're on a team. You guys are prepping, so I don't know if you want to divulge any secrets. But are there any decks or archetypes that are really standing out to you right now?
I think a lot of people are trying a lot of the same things. People are trying Justice Primal Shadow just because there's a lot of very good cards in those combinations. People are trying Huru because of Kothon being very powerful. People are trying Skycrack, obviously, because it's Champion of Fury and Groundbreaker and all those cards. There are a few cards I think people are sleeping on, but people are starting to realize how good they are. There are a couple cards that have definitely not like lived up to expectations, namely Makto. People just were very hyped, including me, about that card, and I still stand by the card is good. I just don't think the deck for it is very good.
That makes sense. I can get behind that. And it looks like not to cut you off, Gabe, but to end your rant. It looks like the round has ended, and we did want to give a shout out to this name was taken for being a fantastic subscriber. Thank you very much for bringing that in. And I think with that, we're gonna take a quick little break, and we'll be back with round two.
Yeah, thank you to This Name Was Still Taken for subscribing while we were streaming, and thank you to everyone watching. And we'll be back after this break with round two.
See you soon.